I decided to at least start the assignment in a little video in 6th period in case you're uncomfortable starting. I've had quite a few questions. So basically what you're doing on this assignment is you're using the tax forms for these 3 individuals, and you're basically filing their tax return, a basic tax return for them. So I'm going to start with Ashley. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I will tell you that a lot of this, if you just look here under the box, it's going to tell you what to do. I'm going to work down through F with you for one of the people. I think I uploaded Ashley's, but maybe I should do somebody else's. But anywho, once you get to here, I think you're going to be able to see exactly what to do, because each of these boxes tells you what to do. We should know what a marginal tax rate is. Remember, that is the greatest percent they pay for taxes. So, for instance, if somebody makes between makes $100,000, then their highest tax rate that they're going to pay on part of their money is 22%. That's going to make 22% their marginal tax rate. But their effective tax rate, you're going to use this formula. And then that's what you're going to put here. So we're going to start. I actually uploaded Ashley's W-2 form, but maybe I'll do a different one because Ashley's, you don't have to do all the things for. We'll just do Elise's. Okay, so this is Elise's W-2 form. This looks very similar to a W-2 form that I used last year. They have numbered boxes, and it's almost always the same thing. Box 1 here is your wages, tips, and other compensation. These are your earned income. We're going to go back over here and follow through the steps maybe on the assignment. There we go. So here you have to read through all of these directions. This gives you information. Since we're gonna do Elise, you're gonna do all 3 people, but we're gonna start with Elise. And we have Elise's W-2 form, and here it gives us some more information about Elise's tax information. She gets to deduct $1,500 in state and local taxes and $5,000 in charitable contributions. So she gets to deduct up to $6,500. And then she gets to take a $1,000 credit. Now this has nothing to do with the deduction. Credits and deductions are completely separate things. Deductions come off of your taxable income, and credits are subtracted after you figure out what tax you owe. You subtract the credits, and then that is your actual tax bill. So you're going to have to decide for each of these people, should they take the standard deduction or should they take the itemized deduction? So the standard deduction for single filers in 2024 is $14,600. If you want to itemize your deductions, what that means is you can choose this amount, but if you were to list all of your deductions and they will be more than $14,600, you don't want to use the standard deduction. You want to use the itemized deductions. That just means you add up all the things you can deduct and you put those in the total deductions box. So we're going to start Elise. We're going to start with Elise. We're going to look on her W-2 form and put the information that we have about her gross income. Elise doesn't have a 1099. She has a W-2, so that's what we're using. Elise's W-2 form, when I'm looking here, this is for Elise. Her W-2 form, the amount in box 1 is $34,220. So that is what you're putting in Elise's box here, $34,220. What are her total deductions? And we're going to decide, is she going to do standard deductions or itemized deductions? Well, I'm not a math whiz, but I can see this totals to $6,500, right? That would be her total deduction. But the standard deduction is $14,000, so it's better for her to use the standard deduction. So we're going to take off from her taxable income that standard deduction. And then you're going to do what it says here, row A minus row B. If it's a negative number, you put 0 there, right? So you're following those directions from there. So that amount is $19,620. So now, this part's a little bit confusing. Everything else has some pretty specific directions. But for this, what you're doing here is you're going to have to break down the amount of money she makes into the chunks of money and pay the appropriate tax rate on each of these. So her taxable income is $19,620. That's going to put her in this second interval, $11,600 to $47,150. So we already know her marginal tax rate is 12% because that is that's the biggest tax bracket she's in. So that is not a computation. That is just something that we can tell right then. So now, based on her $19,620 taxable income, we know that the first $11,600 she's going to pay 10% on. And then there's the rest of her money she's going to pay 12% on. So we're going to take her taxable income and we're going to subtract what she's paying 10% on. So that difference she's going to pay 12% on. So I'm going to do that on my calculator. 11,600 times 10% is 1160. And then 19,620. This is 19,620 minus 11,600 because we've already figured 10% tax on that. That difference is 8,020 times 12% is $962.40, and we're going to add those together. And so her total tax bill should be $2,122.24. So what we're going to do is we're going to put at 10%, it's $1160, and at 12%, it's $960. So this is the tax owed. These are the tax owed rows. So when we add those together, it's $2,122.40. From there, if Elise has a credit, and we can look over here, she has a $1,000 credit, that goes in this box. And I'm not going to do the whole thing for you because you only have 3 people to do. I think this was the most confusing part, so I wanted to show you how to do, this would be row D, and this would be row E for Elise. Just follow the directions from here. Once you fill in these boxes, now you're going to go back to her W-2 form, and you're going to look at box 2, because she is a W-2 form, not a 1099. So go back to her box 2. This is for Elise. So box 2 is $3,947.30. That's what you're going to put in this box, and you're just going to follow the directions from there. So I hope that helps without doing actually everything for you, and I'll see you tomorrow.